very much. Please turn on my presentation, my slides. I would like to share with you the successes of the ZTE Corporation and the potential in the development of our partnership with Russian companies. ZTE was created 30 years ago, and it has a Chinese government share, which is part of the aerospace industrial complex. We have more than 65 or almost 65,000 employees today. We have 18 R&D centers. Those are centers for the development of different innovations, and the company's costs per year amount to 100 billion rubles. That's R&D costs. The turnover was 900 billion rubles, and I think that this year we will cross the threshold of 1 trillion rubles. Our company has a lot of potential in terms of the development of different innovative technologies in the telecommunications sector. Today we are working with more than 500 operators around the world. If we talk about some innovative areas, you are all familiar with this 4G solution, and today ZTE has more than 185 commercial networks around the world. We have the first place in terms of patents that we obtain and use for our R&D. Talking about the global scale, 25% of the global telecom sector uses ZTE equipment. One of the areas where we work is providing equipment for telecom operators in Russia. You know them. They are Megaphone, Wimpelcom, and others, and they all use ZTE equipment. And here there are some customers that are going to come to us in a few years. ZTE has developed the 5G solution that will be implemented in 2018-2019. And people still think start developing 4G, and 5G is even better than telecommunications, so will cover all the sectors. And here we will talk not only about solutions for large operators of telecommunications networks. That's 25% of the global market for ZTE. But here we have some distinguished corporations, and for each area we can provide solutions that will increase the efficiency of operations of these companies. This means that we really have solutions for the railway sector, for the smart city sector, for the health industry, for the shipbuilding sector, for the gas industry, and so on and so forth. We are offering not equipment but solutions that, in partnership with Russian companies, we can show and we can improve the efficiency in those sectors. The ZTE equipment range is really very large, starting with smartphones and ending with some very comprehensive equipment. There are some Wi-Fi routers, modems that we sell under different companies' brands. And now that we have a really large range of equipment for different telecom solutions, for fixed telecommunications, for mobile telecom, we have a huge potential of cooperation for Russian companies. As part of this forum, we signed an agreement with Solars for joint manufacturing in Russia. And this is why we looked for each other. Solars is a company with a huge potential in the car industry. They are one of the leaders in this sector, and we have solutions for the car industry. And here we see our synergy, because there are opportunities for real manufacturing of equipment in Russia. That's what we said when we talked about the localization of manufacturing, and we have some concrete offers. And before signing this agreement with Solars, we conducted a lot of work. We analyzed all the systems that were necessary, and we chose some products that can replace the American manufacturers, which are currently very prominent on the Russian market. And when we did this analysis, we understood that potential demand in government structures and agencies is huge after we launch the range of 3 types of equipment that can be 1 billion rubles this year, 2 billion rubles next year, and this will keep growing. And as is well noted, one of the prerequisites for success is sustainable demand, and being very attentive to preferences for local Russian manufacturers. We understand that on the one hand, the main advantages that we see from joint manufacturing are as follows. First, we can use the organizational and financial and technological resources of both ZTE and Solars, and we can start this manufacturing in the free economic zone of Vladivostok. This cooperation between our companies can start with one of the product areas that I mentioned before this. These are the routers, and we can expand this cooperation to our entire range if we see demand on the Russian market. I've been working in this company for 3 years, and of course when you talk to government companies, they say, of course it's very nice to have some local equipment and manufacturing, but I'm now going to use what I have, because I'm not going to get a bonus for using Russian manufacturing, for using domestically manufactured products, because we really want to provide the most advanced solutions on the telecom market. And if we create a joint venture, this will be an economic advantage for the Russian Far East compared to other zones suggesting to start manufacturing in Russia. One important area of ZTE is that it is ready to start joint R&D procedures to make sure that this equipment is really Russian equipment if we see guaranteed demand on the Russian market. Another important tool is the possibility to attract financing from the Chinese government and from ZTE. Finally, if we talk about another interesting area, that's the first commercial line of cars without wire recharging. That's the possibility of recharging cars via the air. And here we have some innovative solutions which make it possible to use electric cars by charging them in a wireless fashion through remote charging. So compared to existing electric vehicles, we can reduce the battery weight by 30 to 50%. And in terms of deployment of this remote charging, we can deploy it within just 1 month, and the investments are 10 times more efficient than the technology that we currently have. So I would like to conclude my presentation by saying that today we have unique circumstances and conditions when the relationship between Russia and China is continuing to develop, and the interaction and partnership between companies like Seti and Solis can really contribute to the development of our relations.
Including the attraction of funding and decoupling from reserve currencies, the localization of production, and putting theory into practice, and also exploiting the necessary equipment tested by time and certified so as to provide for safety. And one of the other trends for development is joint creation of R&D centers in case a concrete demand for local production and local produce is created. So as for the investors who are working in solars, be confident that the plans they have will be implemented.